Last year, for a business trip, I stayed at the Grand Regency. You know, the type of place built in the 1920s, dripping with old world charm that borders on creepy. The air itself feels heavy, thick with the scent of damp cigars and a century of unspoken secrets. When I arrived, the receptionist, a man whose skin was as dry and wrinkled as old parchment, handed me the key. He had this unsettlingly flat voice as he said, "You're on the 12th floor. And just a reminder, don't press the button 414. We don't have a 13th floor." This wasn't my first time hearing that. A lot of old hotels skip the 13th floor due to superstition, but the way he said it, with absolutely no emotion, it just stuck with me. My room, 1208, was fine. A little dated, but comfortable enough. The first couple of nights were uneventful. I was working long hours, coming back to the hotel late, and just collapsing into bed. But on the third night, something shifted. I woke up around 2 in the morning, completely parched. I needed a bottle of water from the lobby vending machine. Still half asleep, I stumbled out of my room and down the long, silent hallway to the elevators. The elevator car was an antique, all polished brass and dark wood, with a little chandelier that cast a warm, dim light. I stepped inside, the doors groaning shut behind me. I pressed the button for the first floor, the lobby. Nothing. The button didn't even light up. I pressed it again, a little harder this time. Still, nothing. The elevator just sat there, humming quietly. Annoyed, I started jabbing at the button, thinking the old wiring was just shot. Suddenly, the chandelier flickered violently, and a different button on the panel lit up. It was a button I swear wasn't there before, tucked away between 12 and 14. It was a blank, silver circle scarred and worn down from years of use. Before I could even process what was happening, the elevator gave a loud lurch, not downwards towards the lobby, but up. It climbed, fast, faster than any elevator I'd ever been in. It felt like it was ascending for an eternity. The floors sticking by on the digital display above the door. 12, 14, 15, 16. It just kept going. I started to panic, frantically pressing the door open button, the emergency call button, anything. None of them worked. The elevator continued its relentless ascent, the hum growing into a high-pitched whine. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, it came to a smooth stop. A soft bell chimed. I looked up at the digital display, expecting to see some impossibly high number, but it wasn't a number. Then, the doors slid open. My first thought was relief, but that vanished instantly. The hallway in front of me was a distorted mirror of my own floor. The layout was identically, same patterned carpet, the same sconces on the walls, but everything was wrong. The air was thick and heavy, carrying a metallic smell like ozone after a lightning strike, mixed with something coppery and foul, like old blood. The elegant wallpaper was peeling away in huge, curling sheets, and what was underneath, it didn't look like plaster. It was pink and mottled, like bruised skin. My heart was pounding in my chest. I thought it had to be some elaborate prank, a hidden camera show or something. I stepped out cautiously, looking for cameras or crew. The moment my feet touched the carpet, the elevator door slammed shut behind me with a deafening bang. I was trapped. Ispun Harun beating on the closed doors, but it was like hitting solid steel. There were no buttons on the outside. My only option was to walk down the hall. I started toward where my room, 1208, should have been. But as I walked, I noticed something horrifying. Every single door had a nameplate, and every single nameplate had my name on it, James T. Miller. Room after room, my name was etched into the brass plates. Beside each door was a small, circular window, like a porthole on a ship. Curiosity, or maybe morbid terror, got the better of me. I peered into the window of the first door. Inside, I saw a perfect replica of my hotel room, and in the bed, I saw myself, sleeping peacefully. My stomach churned. I moved to the next door. I looked through the window. It was me again, sitting at the desk, eating room service from a tray. My breath caught in my throat. I ran to the next door, and the next. Each room showed a different version of me, a different moment from my life. One showed me as a child, opening presents on Christmas morning. Another showed me at my college graduation, smiling for a photo. But then they started to get darker. I saw myself arguing with my ex-wife. I saw myself getting the call that my father had passed away. And then, in the last room before I reached what should have been 1208, I saw myself in a hospital bed, machines beeping, my body frail. I saw myself dying. I couldn't take it anymore. I stumbled back from the door, my legs weak, and ran to the end of the hall, desperate to find a way out. An exit, a fire escape, anything. At the very end of the corridor was a large, ornate mirror in a gilded frame. I ran towards it, hoping to see my own terrified face, to prove to myself that I was still real. But when I looked into the glass, I wasn't there. My reflection was gone. The hallway stretched out behind me in the mirror, empty and silent. And then, a figure began to resolve out of the shadows in the reflection. It was a Talgant man, dressed in an old-fashioned hotel uniform, but he had no face. Just a smooth blank expanse of skin where his eyes, nose, and mouth should have been. In his hand, he held a single, old-fashioned brass key. He raised it slowly, and the reflection showed it was the key to room 1208. A voice whispered, not from the mirror, but from right behind my ear. It was a dry, rasping sound, the sound of dust and decay. It said, "You're early for your check-in." And in that moment, I finally understood. The receptionist wasn't just being superstitious. He was giving me a warning. The Grand Regency doesn't have a 13th floor, because the 13th floor isn't a place you visit. It's not a floor at all. It's a waiting room. It's where you go when you're not quite finished dying. I don't know how I got back to my room on the 12th floor, or if I ever truly left. Sometimes I wake up and I can still smell the ozone and old blood, and I can never shake the feeling that my check-in is a bad way. Thanks for watching. If you have a story like this, I'd love to hear it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more strange tales.